The 49ers beat the Rams in overtime. Baker and Egbuka link up once again in late game heroics as the Buccaneers get a late win in Seattle. Cam Ward gets his first win as a member of the Tennessee Titans with a great comeback against Arizona, and Trevor Lawrence stumbles over the goal line for a win against the Chiefs. Week 5 is in the books of the NFL season. This is Twin Football. Thank you very much for joining us. It is Friday of week 6, which means we've already had the Thursday night game. We give you all of our picks and predictions every single week here on Twin Football, and we do this through ESPN. So go ahead, make your account, pick along with us throughout the season. Our Thursday pick was for the Eagles to take down the Giants and bounce back from their week 5 loss, but instead they pick up 2 losses on the bounce. Jacob, what was your takeaway from Thursday night's game as the Giants get another victory?
Yeah, crazy couple wins for Jackson Dart. He won the 2 arguably harder games and lost the away game to a much easier Saints team. But Jackson Dart and Cam Scattebo, the 2 rookies, look like the real deal. It's such an exciting time after a horrible start to the season to be a Giants fan. It makes you fall in love with sports that you can draft a player and your team goes from a hopeless season to all of a sudden Giants fans are thinking like, are we going to make the playoffs now? And everyone's rooting for them. They look like the real deal. The defense has been good all year, but now that they have an offense to actually score points, super exciting times. The Eagles, on the other hand, exact opposite. 4 wins to start the season, now 2 losses in a row. Everything looks like it's on fire. Kevin Patullo, in my opinion, has been doing a pretty poor job the last couple games. Some of the play calls were just really poor. They're just calling runs when they probably should be passing and vice versa. I don't think anyone's in sync on that offense. AJ Brown throws a fit every week. Crazy game last night. We did not see that coming, but I'm not mad about our pick being wrong there.
Yeah, you saw the shots of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith pissed off on the sideline
Yeah.
at the end of the game. And to me, that game was all about just energy. You say how great it is to be a Giants fan, a New York fan right now. And I think it's because the energy that Dart and Scattebo are bringing to this team, they fight for everything, they celebrate everything. And it's just so fun to watch. On the flip side for Philadelphia, they're pouting, they're angry all the time, and it just looks like little mental mistakes, muff punts, missed throws at crucial times by Jalen Hurts is really just sinking this team the last 2 weeks. So I totally agree with you. I would have went with the Eagles here, but glad to see the Giants get another win. So next up here on the docket is the London game when Denver takes on the Jets. Jacob, ask me how bad the Jets are.
How bad are the Jets, Adam?
They're the only winless team left in the NFL. Jacob, ask me how bad the Jets are.
How bad are the Jets?
The Jets are the first team in NFL recorded history, which is since 1933, to start a season with 0 turnovers after 5 games. That's how bad the Jets are. This
I thought the
defensive
defense was the
coach,
strong point.
this best defense, yes, that's supposed to be their strong point. 0 turnovers, the first team in NFL history to do that through the first 5 games. And they play the Denver Broncos in London this week, a team that has only turned the ball over once in the last 3 games. I believe that streak, as well as their winless streak, is going to 6 games to start the season. I just can't see any way that the Jets get a victory against the Broncos.
Yeah, that Broncos defense is super tough.
Nope.
I don't see Justin Fields handling that so well. And next up, we have the Cardinals taking on the Colts. The Cardinals are coming off a devastating loss to the winless Titans. They didn't score a single point in the second half. Mercado is going to have nightmares about that mistake for weeks. A week after the Colts did the same exact thing against the Rams, Mercado says, hold my beer. Cardinals have named Michael Carter as their RB1 on the depth chart, which is not surprising at all. Head coach Gannon got so mad he got fined $100,000 after hitting Mercado in the chest. In my opinion, I think it looked a lot worse than it was. Gannon's hand probably hurt a lot more after hitting his chest pad. But either way, just not a good look for either player or coach. After this game, Adonai Mitchell and Mercado can talk about what they're going through together. I'm sure they've gotten a lot of not so nice messages from super reasonable fans. On a more positive note, Marvin Harrison Jr. finally looks like himself again. He had some unbelievable catches the last couple games. If the Cardinals can play how they did in the first half, this game will be a lot closer. The Colts and Indiana Jones with another big win against the Las Vegas Raiders. Forget comeback player of the year. Danny Dimes is playing like an MVP. And when the Jaguars lose this week, they will take full control over the AFC South. Jonathan Taylor has been absolutely massive this year, finishing the game with 3 scores against the Raiders. And the defense, who had a lot of questions going into the year, have really outperformed expectations. Give me the Colts to take it, and hopefully Mark Sanchez is kept out of any bars in the area this weekend.
Had to throw that in there. You had to throw that in there. What a start to the season for the Colts. The Chargers had a perfect start to the season until injuries started to take them down these last 2 weeks. 2 consecutive losses for the Chargers. Now they travel all the way to Miami to take on the Miami Dolphins, whose fans are bittersweet because how they lost that game last week to Carolina, I watched the game over again and I still can't believe that they lost that game. They had 19 rushing yards against Carolina's front. We know how good it is, but they stuck to trying to run the football instead of passing it where they had a lot of their success. They scored 17 points to start that game and then blew that 17-point lead. I still can't believe they lost it. But the sweet part for Miami Dolphins fans is the 1972 Miami Dolphins will remain the only team to go perfect through an entire NFL season, as it is the first time since 1970 that all the teams have lost at least one game before week 6. So they do get to celebrate that they keep that record on another year. The Chargers entering this one have 5 injuries to the offensive line, 2 running backs on IR after rookie sensation Hampton goes to the IR following last week's loss. And even though Miami's run defense has been so poor, I just don't see the Chargers able to gash it enough with the lack of personnel that they are bringing across the country for this early kickoff game. 85-degree weather, 70% humidity with Devon Achane, Darren Waller, fresh after only joining 2 weeks ago. In space, I think is going to run this defense down. I like the Miami Dolphins to pile on the misery of the Chargers and get a second win of the season.
Yeah, that'd be a sneaky win. I think the Chargers are on the downward trend and the Dolphins are desperate for a win and they're at home. I like that pick a lot. Next up, we have the Browns taking on the Steelers. The Browns are coming off another loss to the Minnesota Vikings in London. Have had kind of an unlucky start to the season. They had to play the Bengals before Joe Burrow got injured and the Ravens before Lamar Jackson got injured. Their schedule gets considerably easier the next 5 weeks, playing 4 teams with losing records. The Browns tied their highest scoring game this season under rookie Dylan Gabriel, but they still haven't scored over 20 points. The Browns decided it was good enough to send Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco and a 6th-round pick to the Bengals for a 5th-round pick. Honestly, one of the most mutually beneficial trades I think you'll see. Joe Burrow should be back for when they meet again in week 18, so they weren't going to get to play Jake Browning anyway. Judkins is the breakout player on this team with some really impressive performances the last few weeks, and they're hoping between Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, they might have a franchise quarterback. For the first time since they sent Baker packing to Carolina, Steelers are coming off the bye week and are sitting confidently in first place of the AFC North. Aaron Rodgers with some black magic and a considerable amount of ayahuasca. And all of a sudden, with Lamar and Joe Burrow out, the AFC North is his for the taking. Seems like everything is just going his way this year. Jaylen Warren looks like he will most likely make his return from a knee injury that kept him sidelined in Dublin. Should be a big boost to the run game. Taking on the Browns, coming back from London when they just finished their bye week, does not seem super fair. I expect TJ Watt to dominate this one, and Dylan Gabriel is going to have to wait another week for his first NFL win.
Yeah, talk about Cleveland Browns quarterbacks there and how terrible it looks now that they let Baker Mayfield go from Cleveland a couple years ago to go to Carolina after all of his recent success. But you know what still gets me? I don't feel like people talk about it enough. That same draft where they took Baker Mayfield number 1 overall, the Cleveland Browns could have picked Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley with 2 of those first top 4 picks. And I just, to me, it was what I wanted going into the draft. I was expecting it cold weather for them to pick it. And everyone links Josh Allen with being picked over Patrick Mahomes, as Buffalo traded out of the spot and stuff. But can't imagine how many times they just keep missing on quarterbacks. I like Dylan Gabriel, so hopefully that is finally the time for him to shine. But I feel like nobody talks about that. They could have had Josh Allen, they let Baker Mayfield go, and now they have Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel 5 years later.
What a
Absolutely
franchise.
disaster. Two teams who have been flirting a little bit with disaster are the Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers battled all the way back against the Miami Dolphins last week, but they got gashed by the pass game. Anytime Tua had any time to throw, they found Jalen Waddle, they found Darren Waller, especially over the middle of the field. A lot of success over recent weeks against Carolina over the middle of the field. The one thing that Carolina has been doing pretty good over the last couple of weeks is limiting the amount of possession the other team has. Only 30 pass attempts for opposing teams against the Carolina Panthers defense in the 5 weeks of this season. That's really low. That's a top 10 in terms of defense allowed, or bottom 10 in terms of opposing attempts. And I think Dallas Cowboys should not run the ball once. I already mentioned what the Carolina front was able to do against Miami Dolphins run game, 1.4 yards per carry. But you're going to gash them if you just throw it over the middle. You got Jake Ferguson over the middle of the tight end. You got George Pickens down the side as well, or give him a post route over the middle. They're going to have a lot of success throwing the football. On the flip side, Carolina can gash this Dallas Cowboy defense by running it up the middle. Why the Jets and Breece Hall didn't run it on every single play is beyond me. It seemed like every other carry from Breece Hall up the middle between the tackles, 20-yard gain, 20-yard gain, 20-yard gain. And yet they would drop back, play action, get a sack, miss a throw, any one of those things to get behind the chains and force throwing it again. I think the Dallas Cowboys should pass 45 times in this game, and I think Carolina should run 45 times in this game and see who can score more points. For me, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys to get the win in Carolina due to some mistake by Bryce Young to flip the field in Dallas's favor. But this is a my best versus your worst perfect matchup. I expect points in this one, but give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, Dak's playing out of his mind right now. Next up, we have the Seahawks taking on the Jaguars. The Seahawks are coming off a super close loss against the Buccaneers. What a game, though. We predicted it to be game of the weekend, and it certainly did not disappoint. Sam Darnold with 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards in the air. Kenneth Walker looked great. JSN is still proving to be an elite wide receiver 1 in this league. The game ultimately came down to the turnover battle. Darnold with one of the worst times to throw an interception as he was pushing for a late win. Honestly, not sure what he was thinking. It looked like he thought Cooper Kupp was running a stop route, but he just kept going. Buccaneers cornerback read him like a book and jumped the route, and the Buccaneers were already in field goal range to win the game after the interception. Tough game against a good team, but you got to say a lot of positives to take away. The Buccaneers are one of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL for me, and the Seahawks put up a great fight. Granted, it was at home, but I think a lot to build on there. The Jaguars are coming off a huge win against the Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence with a 200 IQ play to pretend to fall down at the end of the game and then get up to walk in the game-winning touchdown. Spags never saw that coming. In all seriousness, Lawrence had an amazing game and was busting his ass to get that win. Probably needs to learn how to slide a little bit more, but you got to love that passion. The Jaguars did not look great running the ball, and the BTJ Trevor Lawrence connection has unfortunately still not developed. But the defense with another timely turnover, Devin Lloyd with 3 interceptions in the last 2 games, including that 99-yard return to give the Jaguars the lead. He's got 4 on the season, which is tied for Devin Lloyd's career total going into this season. He's having a breakout year in his 4th year in the league. Got to be happy for him. The Jaguars have had a ton of issues with penalties, especially in pre-snap. And if you watch closely in that Chiefs game, it looks like they changed some things pre-snap, and it really sorted itself out with just 4 on the day compared to 12 the week before. Liam Cohen has got to be happy with that one. I like the Seahawks in this one. I think the Jaguars were not super convincing against the Chiefs. They made the right plays at the right time and they won the game. All credit to them. But I think the Seahawks are just a stronger team.
Yeah, and to go all the way across the country to do that, what a great performance that is going to be for the Seahawks. Another game that is coast v coast is the Rams taking on the healing Baltimore Ravens as their secondary gets a huge boost by getting back Humphreys, Hamilton, and Awuzie all back in the lineup. But I will have you remember that all three were in the lineup when they let up 41 points and that comeback to the Buffalo Bills in week 1. 31st in pass defense with or without their members. They will also be still missing linebacker Roquan Smith. We know how he is essential to the command of that defense. He's the quarterback of the defense for the Baltimore Ravens. To not have him and to have a secondary that struggled this year is a recipe for success for the Rams, who need a bounce back game after that overtime loss upset to the San Francisco 49ers. They've had 10 days to prepare for this cross-country trip. I like Puka Nacua to get on the scoreboard here with a touchdown and take the Rams to 4-2 on the season and put even more pressure on the Ravens to try and rebound when Lamar Jackson finally comes back, but that won't be this week.
And next up, we got the Patriots taking on the Saints. The Patriots are coming off an unbelievable win against the Bills in Buffalo. There were so many upsets last week, and this might have been the biggest one. Every time you thought Josh Allen was going to kill them off, the Patriots came right back. Drake May with an efficient, mistake-free game. Stephon Diggs with his breakout game as a Patriot, now over 100 yards receiving for the past 2 games. He was definitely playing with the chip on his shoulder all game. They still need to get that run game going, though. The offensive line has to help out, opening up some holes for Stevenson and Henderson. Mike Vrabel is looking like a breath of fresh air for Patriots fans after a tough few years, and you got to be happy for him. Looks like all the players love Mike. The Saints are coming off their first win of the season against the Giants. After a slow start to the game, Spencer Rattler finally found Rashid Shaheed with a deep ball that won 87 yards to the house. Saints took the lead at the end of the first half and never looked back. Their defense had 5 turnovers to kill all of the Giants' momentum. That's tied for the most turnovers forced all season. I don't think the Saints get that many turnovers in this one, and I like the Patriots to take it away.
Yeah, what a young core the Patriots have, and to be 4-2 to start this season under the new regime is, I think, more than anyone could have asked for. Tennessee getting their first win last week, maybe more than they could ask for again this season for me, is can Cam Ward be your franchise quarterback? Last week we got a little bit more of an answer there as they let him a little bit loose, getting Calvin Ridley a lot more into the game, into the fold, into the game plan, and help lead that comeback against the Arizona Cardinals. On the flip side, the Raiders looking to lean more on Ashton Genty, who 2 weeks ago cracked the 100-yard mark for the first time in his young NFL career, and then they got stifled by a buzzsaw that is the Indianapolis Colts. They return home in Las Vegas to take on the Titans this week. Both of these teams, bottom 3 in the league in points per game. So for me, the key to this one is who can get a defensive play, a short field to help their struggling offenses put points on the board. For me, it is the Raiders. Max Crosby is the best player on the field this weekend for this game. I think he has another great game against a rookie quarterback, gets a tip, gets a sack, gets something to help flip the field, and the Raiders with Geno Smith stop turning the ball over for once and get a win at home over the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it's a super interesting matchup. You got 2 players in Ashton Genty and Cam Ward that a lot of people picked to be rookie of the year going into the season. They both have had much slower starts than people were expecting, but I think both of them have really caught some momentum in the last couple weeks. Last week, Cam Ward made some amazing throws. I think Ashton Genty is getting more used to the pace of the NFL. I wasn't sure which way you were going to go. Honestly, I'm good with either.
I think
Geno
it's
Smith looks horrible, but
and that's another thing too that could flip this. Just as Max Crosby could flip it, a pick, a great defensive play by the Titans against Geno Smith, who's turning the ball over left, right, and center, can be the difference here. These teams are both averaging less than 16 points per game. 1 touchdown is everything in this game. And then rookie of the year, that's an Ohio State player award. I think Emeka Egbuka could probably stop playing for the
I'm
rest of
about
the
to talk
season,
about that in
and
this
he
next one.
still will have it. So So can he beat San Francisco and get another late fourth quarter touchdown to help seal it?
Yeah, the 49ers are taking on the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, coming off an amazing divisional win against the Rams. Put some respect on Mac Jones's name. I don't believe there is a QB controversy just yet, but it's amazing to have your backup come in and win 3 out of 3 games while Brock has been injured. Brock is still the clear starter for me, but I don't think he will be rushed back from his turf toe injury with how well Mac Jones is playing. Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones reestablishing their New England synergy, linked up for 10 receptions for 142 yards. Having Christian McCaffrey healthy, though, has just completely revitalized the team's offense compared to last season when he missed a lot of games. He hasn't been able to get that much going on the ground this season, but he's been instrumental in the receiving game. They're still looking for their first rushing TD of the season. It's crazy to say when you got him in the backfield. After suffering a bunch of injuries to start the season, the 49ers finally with some good news. Malik Mustafa, who was on track for a Pro Bowl season in his rookie year after going down with an ACL injury, is now eligible to play. He looks like he might go in this one. Obviously, you don't want to rush him back with that type of injury, but he was massive for them in a struggling defense last year. He was the one bright point. The defense looks way better under Robert Saleh this year, and having him back will be absolutely massive. The Buccaneers are coming off a big win on the road against a solid Seahawks team. It's crazy to say that Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones are MVP favorites at this point in the season. Clearly, getting out of Cleveland and New Jersey can do wonders for your career. Egbuka is the clear rookie of the year favorite in my book. Not sure who called any of that going into the season, but good on you if you did. Rachaad White found the end zone twice, but I'm sure Todd Bowles will be anxious to get Bucky Irving back in action. It doesn't look like he's going to go in this one. Chris Godwin also looks like he's out, so Egbuka with even more of a workload than he's already getting. I like the Buccaneers to take this one. I feel like I've doubted the 49ers the last couple of weeks, especially in that Rams game. I'd be totally happy for them to prove me wrong again. But like I said earlier, the Buccaneers are one of the most well-rounded teams. Vita Vea is unstoppable. Baker Mayfield is inevitable in the last 2 minutes, and I like the Bucs at home in this one.
Yeah, it's crazy that this week 6 matchup is between two of the top 2 teams in the NFC in the standings right now, up there with Detroit. The team that thought they would be up there is the Green Bay Packers after handing Detroit an early week 1 loss and then following it up with another win over an NFC contender, at least in the preseason, which was the Washington Commanders. Followed those 2 games up with a loss to the Browns and a tie away to Dallas. And then they've had a bye to stew on all of that before finally playing the Bengals with a new quarterback, Joe Flacco. That's going to be the most interesting thing that happens for the Bengals the entire day, because from start to finish, this is a Green Bay massacre in Lambeau Field. I'm expecting points every quarter and sacks every quarter. This is the most one-sided game of the weekend for me. The Bengals traveling to a Green Bay team that hasn't won in over a month by the time this game kicks off. Give me the Packers to go to 3-1-1 and try to keep pace with the likes of Tampa Bay and Detroit atop the conference.
Yeah, I think Joe Flacco's going to struggle a little bit getting used to that horrible offensive line, but I think it's going to be a huge improvement from Jake Browning. Packers are too good, though. I got them in that one for sure. Next up, we have the game of the week, in my opinion. We got the Lions taking on the Chiefs. Lions coming off another win against the Bengals. The defense picked off Jake Browning 3 times, which gave them a commanding 28-3 lead going into the fourth quarter. Then Dan Campbell and the defense decided to let the Bengals score a few times after the win was pretty much secured, because that's just the kind of guy Dan Campbell is. In all seriousness, though, that secondary looked really bad in the fourth. And if they weren't up by so much, that could have been bad. Can't really blame them that much when you're up by that much. Lions look so great. Hottest team in the NFL for me right now. And they're absolutely rolling. They're taking on a Chiefs team who desperately need a win after coming off a tough loss against the Jaguars. The Chiefs had 13 penalties against them. It's just not something you expect to see against an Andy Reid team. And they even got away with a big penalty that probably should have been called, offensive PI on their first touchdown of the game. They're just making uncharacteristic mistakes. They had 476 total yards, and the offense looked much better than it has all season, but the penalties coupled with an uncharacteristically bad interception by Mahomes, and the Chiefs found a way to lose this game. I don't know how they let Trevor Lawrence get up. You can see Chris Jones giving up on the play because he thought it was dead, and Lawrence just gets up and walks into the end zone. I'm sure Andy Reid is going to go off on that team. Spags is going to be up for this one. The Lions are rolling right now, but Chiefs at home, I think a lot more desperate for this win. I think they pull it off. I'm backing the Chiefs in this one.
A defense performance is going to be demanded and needed against that Detroit Lions attack that can hurt you in so many ways. And if you need a bounce back game from a defense perspective after the way that Jacksonville game ended, that is the perfect game to go and get right. A game that might challenge the game of the week for me anyway is Buffalo taking on Atlanta, because I think this is all about the red zone defense. A Buffalo Bills team, multiple turnovers against the Patriots last time out, and that upset. Josh Allen went into the media and went off kind of how bad they played, especially from the offensive side of the football. They're going to look to get right against a Atlanta Falcons team coming off of a bye, but more importantly, who after their first 4 games leads the league in yards against per game. That defense under Jeff Ulbrich has been a massive improvement to the defense. Last year, they just don't let you in the red zone. Only 6 trips for opposing offenses so far this season, and they don't really let you score either. Very mid of the pack, upper half of the NFL in terms of red zone scoring, but they don't even let you get into the red zone. So for me, this one is all about, can that Bills top or bottom 5 run defense hold up in the red zone? And can that Falcons defense as a whole hold up in the red zone against a great Buffalo attack? I like Josh Allen to get right here, but I do not think that this game is as one-sided as this percentages indicate here on ESPN. 96% picking the Buffalo Bills. I will be one of them, but I think that this is whoever can turn field goals into touchdowns will win this game. It'll come down to the fourth quarter for me. I think this is going to be close, but give me the Bills to get the win.
Both teams here really need the win. The Falcons need it to stay above 500 and keep pace with the Buccaneers. The Bills need this win to just nip that little losing streak in the butt right when it started. If they lose 2, all of a sudden they're in that Eagles situation where we're like, okay, what's going on? We started the season so well. What's going on now? Really exciting matchup. I like the Bills in that one as well, but should be a good one.
Yes. And the final game of the week is Monday night. The Bears travel to Washington to take on the Commanders in a not only a rematch of quarterbacks selected 1 and 2 in the NFL draft 2 years ago, but a rematch of the Hail Mary game where the Chicago Bears were leading with 25 seconds left until the 52-yard Noah Brown touchdown after the Chicago Bears secondary was taunting the fans, only to let up a Hail Mary to lose. Absolutely historic game. They're going to look to get right against a Washington team who is welcoming back Jaden Daniels, but that Washington team from an offensive perspective, when you add in Krosky Merritt, they like to call him Bill, to that offense, Washington has led the NFL in rushing yards per game to start the season, and they're averaging 26.8 points per game. Only 3 times in Caleb Williams' entire NFL career has he led the Bears to score 27 points or more in regulation. I just don't think they have enough yet under Ben Johnson from the offensive side of the football. Despite having a bye, they might look a little bit cleaner here. I just think Washington is going to be too much from offensive side of the football for the Bears. We say that's a Hail Mary game, but the Bears only led for a total of 25 seconds of that entire game. But I like Washington, especially on Monday night. Jaden Daniels looked healthy last week. Give me the Commanders to get a win. And there you have it. All 15 picks for week 6 of the NFL season locked in. And we are going 14-1 as we've already lost the Eagles one, but 14 consecutive wins to close it out to bring our total to 60 wins on the year. You can bookmark it now. But if you would like to pick against us, please make your account on ESPN. Pick along with us as we go throughout the entirety of the NFL season. We pick games every single week here on Twin Football. Thank you very much for joining us. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. But always remember, enjoy the football.